Grand Duke Luke Staten, famous for inheriting his title at a young age. As the owner of vast lands and riches, he was invariably followed by a trail of sinister rumors. Luke Staten was known as a ruthless beast from whom not a drop of blood or tears could be squeezed out. None of the nobles wanted to mess with him. They tried to avoid him. Nadia Messier, the daughter of Baron Lancaster, always wanted to live a happy life full of carefree joy. Unfortunately, things didn't go the way she wanted them to. If I faint on the first night, it will definitely offend him. So why did he choose to marry a girl from the Baron's family? I never dreamed that one day I would marry a duke and become a duchess, Nadia thought, looking at the engagement ring. But we can't just let our only sister go, can we? Resented the girl's brother. Her father had assured him that there was no other way out. She must marry. And since the Duke had asked her to marry, it was a chance that could not be passed up. Nadia thought to herself that if she were from the family of some noble duke, she would have the courage to refuse this marriage. But with such an imposing opponent, it was not a matter of courage. Duke Staten was over 2 meters tall. He was known as the beast that eats children. Many said he could kill anyone without remorse. And here, a duke who is the subject of such rumors has chosen me, even though we have never met. Nadia thought to herself. She really did not want to marry such a terrible man. During the marriage ceremony, the girl was afraid to even look at her fiancé. She constantly looked at the floor or directly in front of her. I am totally unprepared for this. What will I say to him when he comes into the room? Frightened, the girl thought to herself. Suddenly the door quietly opened. The Duke entered the room. Shit, he walked in here. He's standing right in front of me. I still can't bring myself to look him in the eyes. I can't call him my husband. Okay, calm down. This should go well. I'm panicking for nothing. The girl reassured herself. And since I haven't rejected his proposal, I have nowhere to go. I have to get used to the fact that I agreed to become his spouse. Nadia looked at her newfound husband. His long hair and beard completely hid his face. The only thing the girl could understand about the Duke's appearance was that he was very tall. There, just like they said, he's definitely over 2 meters tall. I didn't expect him to be covered in hair. He really looks like a beast. Nadia looked carefully into the eyes of her newfound husband. Suddenly the Duke's eyes flashed with an evil, cold light. With fright, the girl began to hiccup. And what should I do now? Will he not be offended by my hiccups? And how do I stop hiccuping? There are some folk remedies. And why is he silent? Is he angry with me? What if he's going to accuse my parents of not raising their daughter right? Tonight is our first night, and I really want to get away from here. I want to go home and forget this whole thing like a bad dream. I'm really scared. Careful, get down! Suddenly the Duke shouted. Nadia accidentally hit a rack of wine. One of the bottles tilted and began to fall downward. Luke managed to pick up the wine bottle with his left hand and the girl with his right. Seeing the Duke's menacing face right in front of her, the girl screamed. Jade, what was that? Why was there a scream coming from the Duchess's room? Asked the maids to the Duke's senior aide. Your Highness, this is your assistant Jade Allen. What are you doing in there? Allow me to come in. Jade knocked gently on the door. Upon entering the room, Jade saw a frightening picture. In the Duke's arms lay a girl passed out. Her entire dress was covered in some kind of red liquid. A moment later, Jade realized that the girl's dress was just stained with wine. Your Highness, you made your newfound consort faint on the first night? Jade marveled. I didn't make anyone faint. She fainted on her own, Luke exclaimed. Luke laid his spouse on the bed. He motioned for his assistant to come into the study and discuss the situation. I understand the Duchess perfectly. She married someone she knew absolutely nothing about except her name. On top of that, rumors most likely reached her. That's why she's under extreme stress. After listening to the Duke, said Jade, But I still think it was your fault that she fainted. She was probably just scared of you. You did something to scare her. I wasn't trying to scare her, shouted the Duke loudly, slamming his fist down on the table with force. Luke looked at his fist. He suddenly realized that he was acting like a real, uncaring brute. With this behavior, he could scare even a grown man, let alone a fragile girl. "Jade, am I really so scary that people faint at the sight of me?" Duke asked. Luke wasn't really evil. That changed when his mother died at the hands of the rebels. She was first kidnapped and then killed. Luke was raised by his grandfather. He was a very strict man. He always encouraged his grandson to be a beast, not a weakling. "By asking me if you're scary or not, do you expect me to be objective?" clarified Jade. "Yes, tell the truth. Don't embellish anything," asked the Duke. "You look like a bear on its hind legs," said Jade. "To be honest, I don't care at all how others perceive me, but I don't want my spouse to see me as a beast," said the Duke thoughtfully. "You are lucky. I am very popular with the girls. I will help you, Your Highness. Every situation has a solution, right? Let's start with a few questions. Answer me. What kind of person is this Duchess?" In an excited voice, Jade asked. The Duke scratched his beard thoughtfully. "And why are you reacting this way? Did you have absolutely no contact with her before the wedding?" "Okay, if that's the case, let's try to answer the questions more simply. Do you even know her name?" asked Jade. "Her name is Nadia Massier. I haven't had time to communicate with her. I was in the capital on a passing trip. I couldn't stay for a few days," explained the Duke. "Still, it is surprising how much your consort was embarrassed to look into your face for the first time. If you don't change your attitude toward her, she'll faint all the time. It's a little late to start, but you need to get closer to her right away," Jade insisted. "Take your wife out to dinner. Hire a skillful barber and get your beard fixed. Give your spouse some kind of gift. Try to speak to her affectionately, and she will definitely open her heart to you." "You mean I should have dinner alone with her?" clarified the blushing Duke. Jade promised him that he would take care of the dinner and the barber. "I've already regretted it for deciding on this marriage. I didn't expect the girl to agree to this marriage so quickly. Leonard said it was the right thing to do, and I obeyed him. Why did I only do it?" The Duke thought sadly. 3 months ago, the Duke was visiting his old friend Leonard. Leonard Modria was the crown prince of the empire. "You were so glorious when we were growing up together in the capital. But then you left for your manor, and it's like you've been switched. Are you going there again?" asked Leonard to his buddy. "Yes, I'm going back to my own manor. Let me go. I have nothing to do in the capital anyway," said Luke. "You rarely come to see me lately. Can't you visit me without a special invitation? We only see you on the anniversary of the founding of the empire. Why don't you come visit me on my birthday?" asked Luke. "I'm not going to stay in the capital for long, and I can't tell you anything about your birthday," said the Duke, rising. He really wanted to get back to his home and as soon as possible. "Why don't you want to linger here? Your duchy may be rich, but it doesn't compare to the capital. There are so many all sorts of entertainment here. It's boring to be stuck in the middle of nowhere at such a young age. Can't you finally find a wife?" asked the prince. "What does that have to do with anything? If you want one, get married yourself," Luke objected. "I can get married any time I want. I just haven't met the right one yet. But you have absolutely no reason to avoid marriage. You're not afraid of marriage, are you? Or do you have some fears because of your parents?" Leonard inquired. "Your Highness, there is no need to push like that. You can rest assured that the Duchy of Staten will not go against the imperial family," Luke assured the prince. "Though we are on the land of the Empire and are part of it, I will respond to your Highness's call at any time. You have nothing to worry about. My family carries no threat to you, so stop calling me to you and testing my loyalty." The capital city of Manstrad is as exquisite as a flower. There are social gatherings here every night. Luke couldn't go to social soirees because he was annoyed by aristocrats who didn't observe basic decorum. At such parties, the Duke felt stupid. The Duke had a hangover. He felt very dizzy and had a headache. To recover, Duke lay down on the grass in the middle of the park. He didn't care at all about the opinion of others. Suddenly, Two long-haired blonde women approached the Duke and asked him how he was feeling. "You must be feeling very ill. Maybe we can help you. Would you like us to call a doctor?" asked a girl with her hair loose around her shoulders. Duke later learned that her name was Nadia. "Come on, let's just go, okay? This man could be dangerous," said Nadia to her companion, the girl with the braid. "How can you say that? We can't leave him. You can see he's not well. I'll stay with him and you go get a doctor," asked Nadia of her companion. "Please hold on. A doctor will be brought to you now," addressed the girl to the Duke. "I don't want to be examined by a doctor." The Duke tried to hide his face from the girl. "But you are sweating so much. Are you sure you're all right?" Nadia clarified. "It's just nerves," replied the Duke. "Take my handkerchief." Nadia held out the handkerchief to the Duke. The Duke grabbed the handkerchief and hurried away. "Wait! You mustn't overexert yourself!" Nadia shouted after the fleeing Duke. "It's been a long time since people have shown me compassion." She even gave me her handkerchief, decorated with such exquisite embroidery. "It is most likely very expensive. That girl gave it to some tramp without even thinking about it." Luke thought to himself. The Duke was sure that people like Leonard lived in the capital. They cared only about their own interests, enjoyed their rights without knowing their duties. He was surprised to meet a truly kind girl. Examining the handkerchief, the Duke noticed the initials of its owner. That was how the Duke learned that the girl's name was Nadia Massieu. "Luke, you surprised me again. I didn't expect you to return to the palace. Just 3 days ago you were adamant, and now you're sitting in front of me. What wind brought you here?" asked his buddy Leonard. "I have no one else to ask advice from, Your Highness. You do know how to treat women, don't you? When a man gets a girl in his life that he likes, what should he do?" Luke asked. "Wait, I didn't understand your question. I must have misheard you. Repeat what you said," asked the prince. He never thought his buddy was capable of loving someone. "I'm asking, what do you do when you like a girl?" shouted Luke. He didn't like it when the prince made a fool of him. "And who's the lucky girl?" asked Leonard. "I only know her name. She is an angelic woman who mistook me for a vagrant, but still wouldn't leave me. I fell in love with her at first sight," confessed the Duke. Suddenly the prince laughed out loud. He was amused by his mate's embarrassed look. "Well, how many times can you make fun of me? I'm talking to you very seriously right now. Just tell me what to do. I really want to meet her again. Explain to me what I should do when I see her again," asked the Duke. "And it's like you don't know how to behave with women," replied the prince. The Duke reminded his mate that he had been in combat training since he was a little boy. He had no time to socialize with women. There were only soldiers in his entourage at all times. "It all depends on what you plan to do with this woman in the future. Do you want to meet her once and that's it? Or do you want to develop a good relationship with her?" asked Leonard. "Sure, I'd like to develop a good relationship with her," replied Luke. "Then propose marriage to her. I think that would be the best option for you," said the prince. "But that proposal would surprise her. In addition, I am sure she has heard rumors about me. This girl is very beautiful. She must have suitors and admirers," objected the Duke. "If you make her an offer and she accepts it, then you can date in the future. And if she turns you down, she probably already has someone. And even if she tells you no, you'll still have an excuse to meet her and socialize," noted the prince. "So, Luke, what have you decided? Are you going to take action, or are you going to continue to wander through life looking for love?" 3 months had passed, and Luke was now Nadia's lawful wedded husband. The Duke was very worried that the girl would not be happy in marriage to him. He wanted the girl to be comfortable around him. And if that wasn't going to happen, then what was the point of the wedding? Luke inquired of the head maid, Anna Brower, about Nadia's well-being. "Sir, you should visit her immediately. Her fever is getting worse. She hasn't regained consciousness all day," Anna replied. "Your Highness, how good of you to come. The Duchess is not in the best of health right now. I have done all I can. We have only to wait. Let's see what changes tomorrow," said the doctor. "I remember correctly. She came here from the capital. I suppose the long journey in the carriage took a lot of energy out of her. I'm also to blame for her poor health. How could she not get sick when she's so nervous around me? I should have said something nice to her. Then it wouldn't have been so hard on the girl. Luke thought to himself. The Duke wrung out a towel and placed it on his consort's forehead. Someone is courting me. Could it be my older brother Anderson? Or maybe Sis Elia? Thought Nadia, opened her eyes. Suddenly the girl saw the hairy face of the Duke. Startled, the girl shuddered and screamed again. When Nadia opened her eyes again, she saw the frightened faces of the maids. They were the two twin sisters, Cindy and Windy. Should I make you something to eat? Should we call the doctor again? The maids asked. Cindy and Windy were constantly by Nadia's side. They took care of the girl, making sure she was well. This supervision irritated Nadia a little, as she began to feel like a prisoner. Nadia lived in the Duke's estate for more than a month, but after the wedding, she did not see him again. The girl noticed that someone had taken the ring off her hand. Nadia decided that it was a bad omen. Also, Nadia was bothered by the fact that the Duke did not pass by to visit her. The girl decided it was all because she had fainted on their first night. Nadia went to the library to get clean sheets of paper and stationery. She wanted to write a letter to the Duke, asking him to apologize for what had happened. To say it to his face, Nadia couldn't. "What are you doing here? Where are your maids?" asked Jade to the girl. "Oh, I just wanted to write a letter to my friend," replied Nadia. She didn't bother to tell Jade that her maids didn't know that she had left the room. She knew for a fact that the maids would never let her go alone. Jade sat the girl down at the table and gave her all the necessary stationery. He began to watch the newly minted Duchess from the sidelines. Jade could see that she was uncomfortable in her new home. He should have helped her settle in. "Mistress, why did you come here without maids? Is everything all right with you? I have a feeling that something is troubling you for some reason. His Highness asked me to personally look after you. Are you in pain or not feeling well?" asked the girl Jade. "He's not angry with me? Then why haven't I seen him during this month? Why is he avoiding me?" thought to herself Nadia. "And why don't you meet your spouse? He told me that the new ring has already been delivered. When the Duke found out that you have sensitive hands, he had the ring remade especially for you," narrated Jade. "What kind of man is he? Could he be so much better than people say he is? What does he really feel for me?" questioned Nadia. "Jade, you're right. I should do as you say. Take me to the Duke," said Nadia and jumped up abruptly from her seat. Sitting in the room, Luke thought about how he would accidentally bump into his consort. He was used to always gathering information about the enemy, assessing him and his own forces, and after that picking up the right strategy. But after all, a romantic relationship is not war. It is necessary to act differently. Getting angry, the Duke slammed his fist on the tabletop with all his might. "Amazing! Your fist is stronger than marble, but if you break the whole mansion now, you'll have to build a new one," Anna remarked. She knew the Duke well, for she had once been his nanny long ago. "I'm angry because I'm dealing with a serious matter. By the way, Anna, when will Jade bring the hairdresser to me? If he doesn't come to me tomorrow, I'll shave myself," warned the Duke. He asked Anna if she could leave him alone. The Duke had been anxious for weeks about leaving Nadia alone. He didn't want to come to the girl with the beard, as he was afraid he would scare her out of her mind again. "Your Highness, are you still awake? It's Jade!" shouted the counselor, walking up to the Duke's room. "Jade, where have you been all this time? You promised you'd bring the barber to me. How much longer do I have to wait?" Angrily, the Duke roared, swinging open the door of his room. With a loud yelp, Nadia bounced to the side. "Your Highness, forgive me if this is a bad time. And if you remember, I am your consort. I'm Nadia," stammered the girl. Entering the Duke's room, the girl noted to herself that she looked rather gloomy and uncomfortable. The Duke motioned for the girl to sit down to talk. "I'm all worked up. I don't even know how I should act right now. Where do I start the conversation?" The girl thought fearfully. "Would you like a drink, Nadia? This drink may be a little strong for you, but I don't have any others right now. The Duke showed the girl a bottle of fortified wine. Nadia was glad of his offer. She was indeed very thirsty. Taking a sip, Nadia realized that the wine burned her tongue and throat. "I'll get someone to get you some water right away," exclaimed the Duke. The girl hurriedly assured him that she was fine. Closing her eyes, the girl drained the glass in one gulp. She really wanted to use the alcohol to relax and release the tension from her body. "I came to speak to you directly. We should have seen each other a long time ago, but I just couldn't do it. I want to apologize to you for my behavior that day." Literally in one breath, Nadia blurted out. "You have nothing to apologize for," the Duke assured the girl. "I blacked out on our first night. Aren't you angry about that? I've been preparing for the wedding for a very long time, and I got very upset when I saw the large number of guests," Nadia admitted. "I didn't faint because I'm afraid of you. There were completely different reasons for that. I was negatively affected by stress and fatigue. I ask you, please don't be angry with me. I don't want you to avoid me." "Admit it! You didn't want to see me because you hate me? I broke into your bedroom tonight even though I don't even know what to say to you." Suddenly, tears streamed from the girl's eyes. "No, I don't hate you, and there's no way I could ever hate you," exclaimed the Duke. "But I have not behaved at all as befits a young wife. Your Highness, do you regret having chosen me? I've heard people say that you don't care at all who your bride is." Through tears, the girl said, "At the wedding, people were saying that you needed to get married right away, so you proposed to the first girl you saw." "Nadia, that's not true. I chose you because I don't need anyone else," said the Duke to the girl, taking her hands gently. "So you consider yourself my true husband. But if that is so, then why did you leave me alone? You said you weren't angry with me and that I had nothing to apologize for. So why are you avoiding me?" asked the girl. "To be honest, I even started thinking that you will soon file for divorce. And I don't want a divorce. Nadia, I'm sorry to have left you alone for so long. I always thought you were afraid of me, so I wanted to give you time to get used to me and your new home." In an affectionate voice, the Duke said and gently touched the girl's cheek. "I had no thoughts of divorcing you, and if anyone should apologize in this situation, it's me." The Duke wiped the tears from the girl's face. "I remember those touches exactly. I am certain of the fact that Duke took care of me while I was sick. He was there for me the whole time. He cared for me because I am his wife," Nadia thought to herself. "Nadia, please call me Luke. We are married, after all, just like you said. Well, now that we've cleared up this misunderstanding, perhaps you'd like to go back to your place? It's getting late. Don't you want to go to bed?" the Duke asked the girl. "Do I have to go back to my place now that we're married? Shouldn't we be in the same bedroom?" In a playful voice, the girl asked. Nadia felt the fortified alcohol hit her head. The Duke looked at Nadia in surprise. To change the topic of conversation, he decided to give the girl her new ring. "I ordered a new ring for you. It seemed to me that the previous sting to you made you uncomfortable. Though it's late, if you don't mind, please accept this ring from me." The Duke got down on one knee in front of the girl and placed the new wedding ring on her finger. Jade was right. The Duke does care about me at all. I was afraid of him at first, but now I know for sure he won't do me any harm, thought Nadia, looking at the ring. Suddenly the girl felt very dizzy. The fortified alcohol drunk on an empty stomach was making itself felt. "I think I'll feel better if I lie down for a while," Nadia muttered. The girl walked over to the Duke's bed and laid down on it. "Luke, aren't you tired? Lie down next to me." Nadia rubbed her eyes tiredly. "Nadia, we don't have to sleep in the same bed just because we're married," the Duke exclaimed. "But my parents always slept together. Besides, I'm not comfortable sleeping alone in a strange room," said Nadia. "I know spouses sleep in the same bed together so they can cuddle all night. I'm totally fine with that. Luke, you look very tired. You should get some sleep." Luke agreed to go to bed. As soon as he lay down, Nadia immediately snuggled up to him with her whole body. When Nadia woke up in the morning, she noticed that she was alone in the room. Now I can call him my husband. Because of that word, I am both happy and embarrassed at the same time. I haven't had many men in my life. I only socialized with my friend James and my brother Anderson. They took care of me like a little sister. Since I had never dated anyone before, early marriage scared me. On top of that, I judged my husband by his looks. I'm glad Luke understood me and apologized. There was a knock on the room. It was the twin maids. They brought breakfast. "Madam, why did you sneak out of the bedroom yesterday without saying a word to us?" asked the maids in one voice. "Sorry, I was about to go back to my room, but I accidentally fell asleep in my husband's arms." Smiling, the girl replied. Nadia was happy that she had such wonderful maids. The girl was sure that soon she would make friends, and everything would be fine with her. "What wonders are going on in our house? I found out today to spend the night with your spouse. Congratulations to you both," exclaimed Jade. He was glad that the Duke had finally found common ground with his consort. The Duke only glared angrily at his counselor. "Sir, calm down. I have good news for you. The barber has finally arrived." Jade put his hands up in the air reassuringly. He didn't understand why the Duke was so angry. The Duke stood up from the table and pulled his dagger from its sheath. Seeing this, the barber fainted. "Sir, what are you going to do now?" Jade asked in a frightened voice. "Jade, stop bringing barbers here. I'm sure more than one of them can't handle me. I don't need them anymore," exclaimed the Duke and walked out of the study. Nadia did not see the Duke for a week. After that night, he began to avoid her again. It began to seem to the girl that she was a burden to him. "But I don't want to sleep in bed alone. I am a married lady. I must be near my husband," thought to herself Nadia and jumped out of the room. The girl decided to head for the Duke's bedroom. "I can't hide from Nadia all the time. It's been a week already. I need to do something. That time, I thought we were getting closer to her, but nothing has changed since then," thought the Duke, looking at his reflection in the mirror. "And I need to do something about my beard, after all. I can't go back to looking like that in front of Nadia. And why did I only chase the barber away?" Nadia approached the Duke's bedroom and knocked gently. "What brings you to my room at this late hour?" asked the Duke. "Forgive me if I am distracting you from some important business. I didn't come to see you because I have any problems or questions. I just missed you," Nadia admitted. "I enjoy embroidery, of course, but lately I've been sewing all day long. Recently, I even went for a walk to pass the time. But one way or another, I can't find anything to do. Although Staten Manor was wealthy, but it didn't have the entertainment that the capital city has. Besides, Nadia didn't know anyone here. She had to spend a lot of time alone." Luke felt ashamed that he hadn't considered the fact that his spouse might be lonely in his house. "What can I do in this manor? What are duchesses supposed to do? My mother said I should take over the running of the house, but would I be able to handle something like this?" the girl asked. "The manor is run by the head assistant and the head maid, but there is something that only you can handle. You can make decisions in case of important incidents in the manor," replied Luke to the girl. "Thank you for listening to me. One more thing. There is another reason why I came to you. I've been alone for a long time, so I wanted to see you. I miss you very much without you," Nadia exclaimed. "Oh, Luke, your nose is bleeding for some reason," suddenly in a frightened voice said the girl. Nadia wiped the Duke's face with the sleeve of her nightgown. "Luke, why is your face scarred? What's wrong?" the girl asked. "It seemed to me that you were afraid of my beard. For that reason, I tried to shave myself and cut myself. I thought I would frighten you even more if I appeared before you like that," the Duke confessed. "Is that the reason you stayed in your room for a week? You shouldn't have done that. You are my husband. Why should I be afraid of your appearance?" asked Nadia. "Although I'm not a professional hairdresser, but if you don't mind, I can help you with your beard." "Anna, don't you think His Highness has been acting strangely the past few days?" Jerinos, the leader of the Black Bear Knights, asked the maid. "Really? I think it's been dragging on for longer than a few days. It's gotten much more serious lately. He's constantly chasing the knights, unleashing his evil on them," told Anna. The next day, the Duke asked his counselor to bring him a shaving kit. In my time, I have had the opportunity to help shave my father and brother, so I decided to shave Luke's beard, Nadia told Counselor Jade. Nadia picked up a sharp razor and began to carefully shave the Duke's beard. At home, when I was helping my father or brother, it was like a game. But it feels different now. Someone who seemed so big and scary is now completely in my hands. He trusted me completely, Nadia thought to herself. When Nadia washed the rest of the foam off the Duke's face, she saw that he was quite handsome. In front of the girl was a completely different person. He seemed to her a stranger, not like Luke. No longer able to contain her feelings, Nadia kissed the Duke on the cheek. After not saying a word, she left his room. Nadia, aren't you eating too much? You've already eaten a portion of dessert. Do you want to mindlessly eat everything and get fat? Although, you're already chubby. Raina Millen, Viscount Millen's daughter, remarked. Well, with your love for sweets, you look like a child. Viscount Millen's son, James, remarked. You probably weren't in demand with the boys, so you had to marry a beast, said Raina and laughed ringingly. Nadia opened her eyes fearfully. The girl realized that she had just had a terrible dream. She was now in her own room, not a guest of the Viscount's children. The girl noticed that she was not alone in the room. Standing next to the bed was Luke. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wake you, said Luke to the girl. Nadia assured him that it was no big deal. She was going to get up anyway. The girl also admitted that she was hungry. If you're hungry, I'll get the maids to bring you something to eat, said Luke. You don't need to say anything to anyone. It's the middle of the night and it's not good to eat at night. You can get fat. I'm a little chubby as it is. My mom and friends told me to eat less. Nadia remembered her terrible dream. I don't think so. You look great. You shouldn't worry about your weight. By the way, Nadia, what are you going to do next? Are you going to sleep? Luke asked. No, I don't want to sleep anymore. I've had enough sleep for the day, replied Nadia. Then I will ask the maids to bring us some snacks. I want to have dinner with you. Just recently, I've realized that I've missed you. Luke confessed. I had a dream about my friends from the capital. I'd like to point out that I don't have many friends at all, but these are people I've been in contact with since I was a little girl. Maybe you know them. They are the twins from the Millen family, Nadia told. The Duke wondered why the girl's friends didn't want to come to her wedding. He didn't remember anyone from the Millen family being at the celebration. After dinner, Nadia suggested that Luke go to bed together. Nadia lay on Luke's shoulder and admitted to him that she liked hearing nice words from him. She's only wearing one silk nightgown. Don't you dare look at her. If you do, you could safely be called shameless, Luke thought to himself. Walking down the hallway to his office in the morning, the Duke thought about his relationship with his wife. He liked that they were slowly becoming bolder and closer to each other. He really didn't want to scare or push Nadia away from him. Nadia decided to make some chocolate chip cookies for dinner. Making baked goods always helped her relax and calm down. The maids came into the kitchen and suggested that Nadia put on a smart dress. They said it was unbecoming of a duchess to walk around in modest clothes. In addition, the head of the knights wanted to see her today. The maids helped Nadia put on a snow-white dress with blue ribbons. The girl was embarrassed that she would have to walk around the house in such an expensive dress. She wasn't used to wearing such luxurious things. Into your room, Duke. Nadia, I've come to see you off. If you're still going, I'll wait for you. No, Luke. I'm ready now. I am pleased that you left all your business and came to see me. I am very glad to see you, replied the girl. Nadia, you look very beautiful today, admiringly murmured the Duke. The beautiful dress should have pleased Nadia, but caused the opposite emotions. The girl remembered how she had once had a fight with her best friend Raina because of the dress. Nadia, why are you wearing the same dress as mine? Don't you realize it's my birthday? Now we are constantly being compared. Admit it. This is your way of trying to draw attention away from me, shouted Raina that day. Nadia tried her best to assure her friend that she didn't wear a similar blue dress on purpose. I don't want to hear your excuses. I don't need them. You're always pretending to be naive and getting guys' attention that way. I hate you. Raina pushed her friend away from her. Nadia, are you okay? You've gone very pale. The Duke put a hand on his consort's shoulder. It's fine. I'm just a little nervous. Pretty soon I'll be meeting some important people. It's making me anxious. Nadia lied. The girl didn't want the Duke to know about her relationship with her friends. Don't worry, Nadia. I'm sure you'll make a good impression on everyone, assured his spouse, the Duke. When the girl entered the dining room, she saw two men. One of them was in military uniform. The girl guessed that it was the commander of the Knights. I am glad to meet you. My name is Nadia Massier Staten. The girl bowed before her guests. How do you do, mistress? I am Herinos, leader of the Knights of the Black Bear. A man in military uniform introduced himself. Nadia noticed that their plates were filled with her cookies. Anna had probably brought them. And my name is Grant Jones. I'm the butler of Staten Castle. A man with a handsome, bushy mustache introduced himself. Anna, why are we being served cookies for dinner tonight? You know no one here likes sweets, grumbled Jerinos. These cookies were baked this afternoon by our Duchess. She decorated it herself with fresh cream. Would you refuse to eat it? Anna replied. I never thought this house didn't love sweet desserts. In a frustrated voice, Nadia muttered, No, I love sweets. I'm just worried about my status, in case it's not respectable and I'll be laughed at, Jerinos exclaimed. Don't yell like that. You'll scare my wife, Luke said in an angry voice. Nadia, thank you for making these cookies. It's very tasty and has a funny shape. Suddenly, the girl cried bitterly. She realized that the people at the table didn't like sweets, but they still kept eating them to make her feel good. Thank you very much. You've been so nice to me. Even though Castle Staten still feels foreign to me, you're taking me in with great warmth, said Nadia, swallowing her tears. Nadia, can you please stop crying? Let's go somewhere private, suggested the Duke to the girl. Nadia, don't worry about the tea party. It went very well. Everyone will only talk about the kindness of my spouse. It is rare for a lady to make desserts with her own hands. I'm sure everyone is impressed by your sincerity. Luke had never comforted a crying woman, so he didn't know how to do it properly. I'm sorry, I ruined it, the girl muttered. Tears flowed from her eyes in an endless stream. Luke gathered all his courage in his fist and hugged the girl. Nadia, stop crying. You haven't ruined anything. You're a very lovely girl. The tea party went well, reassured Luke to his consort. The Duke kissed Nadia on the forehead. Nadia, I have prepared a gift for you. I hope it will be to your liking. I shall like any gift from you, the girl exclaimed. Then I will ask Anna to help you change your clothes. Put on something comfortable, said the Duke to the girl. Anna, forgive me for crying and ruining the tea party. Nadia was ashamed in front of the maid for her behavior at the table. Mistress, you shouldn't feel bad about it. By the way, did you enjoy your escort? The maid asked. Yes, they are all very nice people. Anna, can you please give me the books about the Staten family? I want to read them. Since I'm going to spend my whole life here, I need to know about this family. On top of that, I want to help you and Luke. Nadia didn't want to lead a useless life. All right, I'll prepare you books about the Staten family, as well as how a real duchess should behave, Anna promised. Luke had recently learned that his wife often went horseback riding in the capital. He decided to arrange a horseback ride for the girl. If this is your gift, I like it very much, admired the girl. The Duke ordered Jade to bring his horse. Your Highness, you wouldn't send your consort to ride alone, would you? Why don't you ride together? I don't think Madam will mind, Jade asked in a confused voice. Nadia agreed without hesitation to ride with Luke on the same horse. Nadia, are you sure you're comfortable? I hear they use side saddles in the capital. Luke was worried about his spouse's discomfort during the ride. On the contrary, I'm much more comfortable in this saddle. On top of that, it's not easy to ride in the capital. A lady better not say that she likes horseback riding. My parents didn't like my hobby, Nadia admitted. Thank you, Luke, for giving me such a beautiful gift. There's nothing to thank me for. I owe you an apology. I almost dragged you here by force, ripping you away from your family and taking you away from your friends. And I know you didn't want this marriage," said Luke to the girl. "This is going to sound like an excuse, but I fell in love with you at first sight. That's why I asked you to marry. I didn't even think about my status or my family. I didn't want to tell you this before so that this information wouldn't become a burden to you." "Luke, since you fell in love with me before marriage, does that mean we've seen each other before?" Nadia clarified. "Yes, I've seen you before, but I don't remember exactly what day. And it's not that important." The Duke didn't want to tell his spouse that she had seen him in the park after a big drink. "At first, when I married you, I didn't know what kind of man you were, so I was afraid of you. The estate seemed large and foreign to me. I had absolutely no idea who to rely on, so I cried endlessly," Nadia confessed. "But it turned out that you were always there for me. I'm very grateful to you for that. I thought I was left completely alone, but I felt better when I realized that I wasn't. Now I'm truly happy. I was lucky to meet you. You are a sweet and kind man." Nadia remembered that when she had received an unexpected proposal from a duke unknown to her, she had been very frightened. It seemed to her that her parents had sold her to the beast. This made the girl feel very hurt. Nadia was happy that the Duke was not a wild beast, but a reliable husband. The girl was pleased that he confessed his feelings to her. She realized that she was also beginning to feel sympathy for him. In the evening, Nadia decided to prepare for a night with her husband. This time, she wanted to kiss him on the lips. The girl wondered what the other man's lips felt like to the touch. "I wonder how Luke will react when I kiss him on the lips. What if he doesn't like it? I really hope he doesn't get mad and start wrecking everything." Nadia sat on her bed and waited for her spouse. When Nadia opened her eyes in the morning, she realized that Luke had not come to her during the night. The girl went in search of her spouse. Anna, a senior maid, told Nadia that the Duke had gone to the mountains last night for a drill. The girl knew about the drill in the mountains. Her brother Anderson had told her that quite often inexperienced knights died in such drills. "And why would he go on a dangerous drill without telling me about it?" Nadia muttered in an offended voice. Anna hastened to assure the girl that the Duke would be fine. "He is quite experienced, so he will cope with everything." 3 days later, a squad of knights returned to the manor. Nadia ran outside to greet her consort. "Jade, where's Luke?" The girl noticed that her husband was not among the knights. Jade took off his coat and threw it over Nadia's shoulders. The girl didn't notice that she ran out to the knights in just her nightgown. "Mistress, I must tell you that we are the only ones returning from this exercise. Returning home, we ran into a problem. We have been informed that the newcomers who joined us at the beginning of the year have stumbled," told the girl, Jade. "Duke rushed to their aid without delay. We only saved the pledges because of him. But when the Duke pulled the last knight out of the ravine, he toppled down. But don't worry prematurely. I'm sure he's alive and will be home soon. The Duke knows that terrain very well. Now that the downpour has subsided, he's probably in a hurry to get home." "What about the search?" Nadia asked. "Sure. We'll put together a search party right away. It was dangerous to stay out in the rain, so we came back here. But now, we can start searching for the Duke," replied Jade. The girl asked the counselor if he could take her with him. "You shouldn't come with us. It is dangerous. We promise you that we will find your husband. We will definitely come back with him no matter what it costs us," assured the girl Jade. Nadia stood by the window all day long. She couldn't wait for the Duke to come home. She was sad and lonely without him. "Madam, your face is gone. Are you all right?" The girl was approached by the excited maids. "I'd like to go in search of Luke, too, but I'm well aware that I'd be nothing but trouble," Nadia muttered. "No, you won't be any trouble. We know for a fact that you are an excellent horsewoman. On top of that, the Duke could be seriously injured. If he sees you, he will recover quickly." The maids hugged the girl from both sides. "We're sure the Duke is expecting you and is worried about you. Luke would do anything for me. If he's really waiting for me, I need to hurry to him, Nadia thought to herself. Nadia joined Jade and Geranos. At first, the commander of the Knights was against it, but after a little thought, he accepted it. Mistress, try not to draw attention to yourself. We can't let the province know that the Duke is missing. The Staten family does not have an heir yet, so this incident may cause concern, said Jade to the girl. And most importantly, don't overdo it. Remember that the search for the Duke is our responsibility. If it suddenly becomes difficult for you, you can return home at any time, said Geranos to the girl. Sometime later, Nadia found a button from the Duke's coat on the ground. There's no way the trail was so close. Though no, come to think of it, the training ground isn't that far away. The Duke should have returned home by now. Maybe he got lost, thought to himself Jade. I think we should keep going. If the Duke hasn't returned to the castle, then maybe he's gone deep into the forest. Jade exclaimed and pointed his horse deep into the forest. We've gone too far now, it's time to go back. If we keep going, we might run into the land of the Ames, Geranos warned. No, let's walk a little farther. The Duke may be in more danger than I thought, replied Jade. I'm worried about him too, but I'm not sure we should stay here. Let's head back. It'll be better if we take reinforcements with us and continue the search, Geranos insisted. Mistress, Geranos is right. We will contact the nearest knights and come back here again, said Jade to the girl. Suddenly an arrow flew at Nadia. Jade managed to push the girl aside. What's going on? There shouldn't be people here. These lands have long been abandoned, Jade said in a surprised voice. Jade, cover the mistress. I'm sure it was the Ames who ambushed her, yelled Geranos. Suddenly Nadia's horse began to reel and spurred into the woods. Mistress, where are you going? It's an impenetrable thicket of forest out there, shouted Jade. The horse stopped after a few minutes. It was raining heavily. Luke is in trouble now, and there's nothing I can do to help him. What if he's ambushed too? Should I go back to Jade and Geranos? Or would it be easier to continue the search alone? The girl thought sadly. I was only getting in their way, distracting them from their search. They were always worried about my safety. I'll find a place to sleep for the night first, and tomorrow I'll continue my search. In one of the caves, the girl saw the light from a campfire. Nadia thought that bandits might be hiding there. Since the rain didn't stop, the girl still decided to cautiously look into the cave. In the cave, she saw a wounded Duke. Nadia approached her husband and gently touched his face. Suddenly, the Duke opened his eyes. Cried with joy, Nadia hugged him tightly. The girl told Luke that she couldn't sit idle, so she went in search of him. Jade and Geranos are looking for him, too. What do you mean they're looking for me? I told them to guard you in my absence. Why did they drag you into such a dangerous endeavor? Exclaimed Luke. No need to scold them. I asked to go with them. They were in trouble because of me. During the search, we drove to the outskirts of the territory, and there we were attacked by some bandits. Jade and Geranos did everything to protect me. Nadia recounted. Suddenly, my horse got spooked and rushed into the woods. After a little wandering, I found you. Now I'm worried about the fate of Jade and Geranos. Tears spurted from the girl's eyes. Don't worry, Nadia. Those two are the best knights in the country. They'll be fine. They'll come out alive and unharmed from any trouble. Luke reassured the girl. Nadia stripped off her outer clothing and spread it out on the ground to dry. The heavy downpour had made her clothes soaked to the skin. Luke, how are you feeling? Do you have any pain, maybe? Asked the girl to her husband. The Duke hastened to assure her that he was fine. He was embarrassed to see his spouse sitting next to him in only her underwear. Luke, but your clothes are wet as well. You should take them off and spread them around the cave to dry. I'm very afraid you'll catch a cold. As the Duke removed his outer clothing, the girl noticed a deep gash on his body. Luke told her that he had gotten that injury while rescuing a newcomer. The girl felt sorry for Duke, so she cried again. Nadia, I'm sorry, but I'm not used to someone worrying about me yet. I was raised by my grandfather since childhood. He called me nothing but beast. I didn't expect you to think so much of me. Luke took the girl firmly by the shoulders. He wanted to comfort her. You saved people, and I didn't even think to praise you. I was really worried about you. I was literally going crazy with worry. Luke, you are not a beast. You are my dear husband." Nadia exclaimed and sobbed harder than before. Suddenly, the girl nestled against the Duke's lips. "Luke, tell me about your childhood. I want to know as much about you as possible," the girl asked. The Duke told the girl that he was born in the capital. When he was 6 years old, the flames of the Imes rebellion swept the empire. The inhabitants of the Duchy of Staten found themselves almost in the epicenter, so they suffered the greatest losses. Thanks to Luke's father, the rebellion was suppressed. But unfortunately, the cornered Ames kidnapped his mother. Since the Duke could not leave his wife in danger, he went in search of her. After a while, news came that the Duke and Duchess were dead. "How can you talk about this so calmly? After all, when you lost your parents, you were just a child," Nadia exclaimed. From feeling sorry for the Duke, her heart whimpered in pain. "Nadia, you don't need to cry. It all happened a long time ago." Luke held his spouse tightly against him. Luke kissed his spouse on the lips. The girl did not expect such a rush of feelings from the cold Duke, so she froze in surprise. "It's like I'm in a beautiful dream right now. I want you to always be by my side. When you are around, strange thoughts visit me. That's the reason I went to the drill." Luke confessed to the girl. "Shall we do it again, then?" Nadia asked. The girl kissed the Duke passionately on the lips. Even a man as strong as Luke can have such soft lips. I finally realized what a real kiss between spouses is. It's not like the one my parents used to give me at night. It's much stronger, and it makes my head spin. Nadia thought to herself. "Enough. You hardly want to continue. We should stop here. I don't want to offend you." Luke abruptly interrupted the kiss. "Why are you stopping? Why do you always hold yourself back? Am I not good enough for you? Is it all because I'm awkward and don't know anything? I really want to be closer to you so we can be a real couple," mumbled the girl, and her eyes filled with tears. "I feel like you keep me at a distance all the time. You don't want us to be a real couple. If you're sick of me being so inept, then say so. Nadia, I've said before and more than once that you're fine. Only I'm afraid our thoughts are somewhat different. I don't want to scare you again and get a look of disgust from you. I'm very afraid of that," the Duke admitted. "Nadia, whatever happens, I don't want to cause fear in you. I want us to be a real couple, but I'm afraid of being too active." "And why are you worried about that? We've been married for months already, and we finally had a real kiss. I mean, we've been doing well. Luke, I want to admit to you that I could make out with you for days on end," Nadia whispered. "Nadia, aren't you afraid that my desires might not be the same as yours? My thoughts might be more dangerous than you think. Aren't you scared?" asked Luke. "Luke, kiss me. I really want you to. Your lips make me feel really good," mumbled Nadia. The girl snuggled up to the Duke and kissed him passionately on the lips. Suddenly, someone's footsteps were heard near the cave. "I can't believe that they so brazenly showed up here, and even at such a historic moment," the Duke thought to himself irritably. 2 dark male silhouettes entered the cave. With a loud roar, the Duke lunged at them. "I will strangle you with my own hands," shouted the Duke and grabbed one of the entrants by the scruff of the neck. "Stop! It's me!" wailed Jade frantically. The Duke gave him a big scare as he looked like a big, angry bear. "Your Highness, what are you doing here? What luck that we were able to find you. We were following the Duchess's trail and stumbled upon this cave. If you only knew how worried I was." Jade exclaimed and hugged the Duke tightly. Nadia came out of the cave to greet Jade and Jerinos. Jade and Jerinos froze in surprise. They didn't expect to see the Duchess in her nakedness. "There are knights pitching tents nearby. We will go to them now and take you from here tomorrow morning. We are glad you are unharmed, so we can return home with a clear conscience. Sorry for interrupting you," exclaimed Jade, covering his eyes with his hand. The next day, Jade picked up the Duchess and Duke as promised. He brought clean clothes for them. Luke was uncomfortable around Nadia. A variety of thoughts kept running through his head. Some of them made him blush. "Luke, your cheeks are red. Are you not feeling well?" the girl asked. "No, I'm fine. It's just a little hot in the carriage," exclaimed Luke. For a moment, it seemed to him that his thoughts, for some unknown reason, had become known to Nadia. "Luke, you mustn't ignore even the little things. If you're in pain or have a fever, you must speak up. You've been caught in the rain. You've been injured. All of these things could have jeopardized your health." Nadia touched the Duke's forehead. "Nadia, don't worry about me. I'm fine, really. I'll be sure to see the doctor if I get sick. I promised you I would take care of myself," said the Duke to the girl. Looking at Nadia, the Duke thought that she reminded him of an angel that came down from heaven. The girl was very nice. She constantly cared about him, about his well-being. He was glad to have her in his life. "I'm going to take a shower first, and then you and I will see you in my bedroom," Nadia exclaimed, and disappeared behind the bathroom door. "Your Highness, you should treat your wounds. You can't leave them like that," exclaimed Jade. "It's fine, all right. My wounds are already healed. I was bandaged by Nadia in the cave, so I won't change anything," objected the Duke. "How long can you hold on to these filthy bandages? Let me take them off." Jade hissed through gritted teeth. He forcibly began pulling off the Duke's old bandages. "By the way, explain to me how come Nadia went looking for me?" asked the Duke to his subordinates. "Of course, we objected at first, for it is not an easy road for a noble lady. But the Duchess was very worried, so we felt sorry for her. In the end, she helped us a lot. We only found you because of her." Gerinos replied, "I noticed that she is not as weak as she might seem at first glance, and I was pleased to see that your consort was very concerned about you. She was constantly raring to go in search of you." The Duke cautiously peeked into his spouse's room. "Luke, you did come after all?" asked the sleepy girl. "Yes, I came as you asked. How are you feeling?" inquired Luke from the girl. "Now that you're here, I feel really good," Nadia replied and pressed herself against the Duke with her whole body. "You must be very tired, so lie down next to me and we'll sleep." Early in the morning, her maids Cindy and Windy entered Nadia's room. They brought books about the Staten and Ames family. Later, Anna came into the girl's room and suggested that she change her clothes. "Anna, do you happen to know where I can find Luke? I want to clear something up with him. Luke is a very kind and sweet man, but when people get scared of him, my heart shrinks with pain," Nadia confessed. "I want to show everyone what Luke is really like. Let people see him as I see him." "As you wish. Once you are dressed, step into the training area. The master will surely be pleased to see you," said Anna to the girl. "I can't go on, Your Highness. Please, please spare us," exclaimed Jade. "What, there are no more daredevils left? Get up, stop pretending. Do you think the bandits will pity you? You'll get no mercy from me. We'll be practicing with you all week," warned the Duke. Nadia came to the training ground and called the Duke's name loudly. "Is that the Duchess? This is the first time I've seen her. They say that His Highness is completely different in front of her. Now I see that it turned out to be true," exclaimed one of the knights. "Nadia, what brings you here? I did not expect you to come." The Duke gently took his spouse's hand. "Nothing urgent. I just wanted to see you. I promise not to interrupt you. I'll just watch what's going on with one eye." "I didn't mean to interrupt you," said the girl embarrassedly, lowering her eyes. "And how can you interrupt us?" the Duke asked with a silly smile. Jade was ashamed of the Duke's behavior. The knights on the training ground watched in surprise. They had never seen their commander behave like this with anyone. "I'm sorry, guys, for interrupting your training. My name is Nadia Massier Staten." The girl bowed before the knights. "You're absolutely not interrupting us at all. You can come even every day," the knights exclaimed joyfully. They were happy to see the Duchess, as they knew that thanks to her, the Duke had been found. The knights considered the girl the savior of the duchy. "Nadia, it's time for dinner. Will you keep me company?" asked the Duke to the girl. Smiling happily, Nadia replied in agreement. While you're showering before dinner, I'll just finish my letter. I really want to write a letter home. My family is worried about me, so I want to reassure them. I want to dispel any preconceptions my family has about you. Although our marriage started with misunderstandings, I really hope to convey our sincere feelings in a letter. I'm sure my family will love you too. Another social evening was being held in the capital. It was attended by all the local aristocracy. Wow, look over there. They say there was supposed to be a special reception tonight. Then why are the barons here? It's been a long time since they've had it so easy with them. Whispered amongst themselves by those present at the social gathering. The Lancaster barons sold their youngest daughter in marriage to a prominent aristocrat. They are probably now awaiting proper treatment. The Lancasters have always had an innocent appearance, and I can't even believe they turned out to be such snobs. Elia ran into the ballroom and announced loudly that Nadia had sent a letter. Dear Papa and Mama, how is your health? It's been 4 months since the wedding, and I've learned a lot about the Duke. Nadia wrote in her letter, Our marriage definitely started with a lot of misunderstandings, but the Duke is actually very kind. I can feel his love for me in everything he does. So please don't worry about me anymore. I have met a wonderful man, and I am sure that a happy life awaits me here. I'm sure that once you get to know him, you'll love him with all your heart. Anderson and Alia didn't know what to write to their sister in return. Their mother had been very ill for 4 months now. Their father had shut himself in and rarely left his study. What are we to do now, little brother? I can't even write a word back to her. Shedding tears, Aaliyah said. Don't cry, because I've thought of something. I didn't tell you about it before because it's pretty risky, but I've been thinking about this plan for a while now. I know how we're going to meet Nadia, how we're going to get one look at her, said Anderson to his sister. Everyone in the Empire knew that Duke Staten wielded incredible power. To refuse him could lead to the destruction of an entire family. For this reason, Baron Lancaster had to give his daughter to him as his wife. Father, will you answer Nadia's letter? Asked Anderson. I should, but I don't even know what to say. I'm realizing more and more clearly what we've done by letting her go to that underworld. I'm sure my daughter is miserable around that beast. She wrote the letter to reassure us. I had better die, but not let her go, exclaimed the Baron. Father, don't say that. I understand your feelings, but we need to calm down, for there is still hope for a good outcome, said Anderson. There is no hope at all. Against us is a man who goes to visit the Crown Prince himself. What can we even do to those under the auspices of the Emperor's family? Shouted the Baron, jumping up from his seat. I will meet with the Crown Prince. I don't know with whose help, but I will make my way to him. I will meet with His Highness and beg him to summon the Duke to the capital. I don't believe that false letter, exclaimed Anderson. Father, I am constantly mindful of the fact that our unfortunate Nadia is in the immediate vicinity of this beast. What if, then, he is cruel to her? I suggest we pick her up and get her as far away from that beast as possible. When the Duke entered his consort's room, he saw that she was crying bitterly, wrapped in a blanket. Nadia, what is the matter with you? Has something happened? Tell me, for there is no husband in the world who would calmly look at the tears of his wife. I promise to listen to you and solve your problem, said the Duke to the girl. Luke, it's been a whole month since I sent a letter to my family, but no matter how much I wait, no matter how much I ask the servants, I haven't heard from my family. I'm afraid something might have happened to them. Narrated the girl. Nadia clung to her husband and wept bitterly. Don't worry, Nadia. I will find out what is going on. I will definitely help your family if there was some unforeseen event, the Duke promised. I beg you, Your Highness, summon the Grand Duke to the capital, asked Anderson of the Crown Prince. What exactly is the matter? Asked the Crown Prince. I want to ask for your help for Duchess Staten, said Anderson. And why does she need help? If you want to express your opposition to her marriage, I'm afraid you came to me too late. Why would you choose to help her now? The prince wondered. My little sister sacrificed herself for our family. I couldn't stop her, but not a day goes by that we don't think of her. I regret my cowardice," Anderson said in a sad voice. "As you know, there have been all sorts of rumors about Duke Staten all the time. I am very much afraid that many of them are true. And he is braver than he appears. The son of a baron, although he is related to a noble family, he doesn't carry a title. He's in no position to make demands of the crown prince, much less throw accusations at Duke Staten." The crown prince thought to himself, "This is on the verge of treason. He could be shackled right here and now, and I know that without my influence, this spontaneous marriage would not have happened. Who knew Luke would take my joke seriously and propose immediately? Look, I know you're worried about your sister, but there's been a misunderstanding," said Prince to Anderson. "I realize that this is an unconscionable request, so I am willing to accept any punishment as long as my sister is safe. I must make sure personally that she is doing well. I beg you to help me, Your Highness." Anderson's eyes filled with tears. "I understand your concern, but there's no need to be so worried. Maybe the Duke isn't at all what you think he is." The crown prince placed his hand on the baron's son's shoulder. He wanted to reassure him and allay his fears. And his sudden marriage proposal, from what I hear, was born out of admiration for his future wife. He's just a little awkward, but honestly, he married without malice. I'm sure your sister is happy by his side." "Do you really think so? You think my sister is living happily?" asked Anderson. "I can see that you are very sensitive and are genuinely worried about your sister. I have honored your request. I will invite the Duke and his consort to the capital. I'm sure your sister will also want to see you." After thinking for a bit, the prince said, "Your Highness, a letter has arrived from the capital. The crown prince urgently summons you to the capital," said Jade and handed Luke a letter from the prince. That night, Nadia announced to her husband that she was planning to go to the capital for a few days. She was anxious to see her family. "Nadia, why do you want to go to the capital? Why are you drawn to your family? Maybe I did something wrong," Luke asked his spouse in an agitated voice. "Luke, but I don't plan on going back there permanently. I'm just going to visit my family, and then I'll go back. I miss my parents, and I want to talk to them about you. I want to resolve any misunderstandings," Nadia explained. "And I would really like to go with you to see my family together. They need to see the real you. I know you're busy, but please spare at least a day." "Of course I'll go. By happy coincidence, I just received an invitation from the crown prince. We can stop by your parents on the way," replied the Duke to the girl. "I never thought the Duke would want to go to the capital. I was sure he'd say no," thought to himself Jade. "Your Highness, may I report, news has come of Grand Duke Staten's arrival on the outskirts of the capital. He is traveling with his consort, accompanied by 24 black bear knights," reported to the crown prince, his secretary. 24 knights? I know that each of them is a beast-like master. One must be wary with such an army," noted Celia Modria, the princess of the empire. "I don't think he's traveling here to stage a rebellion. Explain to me why you can't stand him until now? Is it all because he almost became your fiancé?" asked Leonard to his sister. "How many times can you remind me of that? I don't even want to think about it. The Duke is too dark, fierce, and bearded. We wouldn't get along with him even if he was handsome," Celia said with a scornful grin. Luke really hoped they would reach the capital without incident, but on the approach to the city, Nadia suddenly fainted. The long carriage ride had taken a lot of energy out of her. Luke had to rent a room at the hotel and waited for the moment when his spouse would feel better. "Nadia, how are you feeling? Drink this medicine and go to sleep. When you get some sleep, the fever will go down." The Duke handed his spouse a glass with the mixture. "I am ashamed that I keep adding to your troubles. I am strong and healthy, honestly. I was just stressed out from the upcoming meeting with my in-laws, so I felt weak." Embarrassedly lowering her eyes, Nadia said, "You don't need to worry about that. You're not adding to my problems at all," said the Duke, and gently pressed his spouse against him. The next morning, Nadia felt lightness in her whole body. The fever had receded. She was ready to continue her journey. "Luke, your medicine helped me a lot. Last night I had a high fever. I was even afraid we would have to go home, but then you came and warmed me with your warmth," exclaimed Nadia, hugging her spouse tightly. "Apparently I have recovered from your warmth. Thank you, Luke." "How wonderful that you have recovered. All that's left for complete happiness is to be reunited with your family," Cindy said in a joyful voice. Nadia was embarrassed at having to be delayed because of her. "Don't worry about it at all. We're glad we had the opportunity to visit the capital. We've never traveled beyond the borders of the duchy before," Cindy admitted. "What is there to do? It's noon, and I haven't heard from Anderson or Dad. That only means one thing. I'll have to face the beast alone," Elia thought to herself fearfully. The girl heard outside the window the sound of approaching carriages. Most likely it was her sister who arrived with her husband. Seeing her sister, Elia threw herself into her arms. "How much you've had to suffer around your fiendish husband. You've lost a lot of weight during this time. Don't you have any pain?" asked Elia to her sister. The Duke approached the girls. Nadia hurriedly introduced him to her sister. "Burst my eyes! This is Duke Staten, the shameless aristocrat who took my sister? I definitely remember that he had a big beard. Unbelievable, he's changed a lot." Alia thought to herself in surprise. "Dear sister, I am very happy to see you, but our family is in no position to entertain guests right now. Our mother hasn't gotten out of bed in months," hugging her sister, Elia told her. "I'm sorry if anything is wrong. Next time I promise you I'll give you a proper welcome. It would be nice if you stayed here and your husband went on with his business." Nadia literally ran into her mother's room and hugged her tightly. "Let me look at you, my poor daughter. How much my heart has ached for you all these days," exclaimed the Baroness. "Mother, I am glad you feel well enough to stand on your feet." Wiping her tears, Nadia said, "I came to see you to assure you that I am fine. I am happy in my husband's house. He and all his subordinates are treating me very well. My husband has given me many beautiful dresses and jewelry. He is even ready to give the most valuable cloth for embroidery." "But you never liked embroidery before. Besides, no matter what beautiful dresses he gives you, it's still a terrible thing to live as a brute," said the Baroness to her daughter. "Sister, stop defending your husband! I saw him. He just stood silently by your side without saying a word," Elia exclaimed. "Why are you all attacking Nadia? You're embarrassing her. She is safe now, and that is the most important thing," said the Baron. "Let's have dinner together. Our cook Vivian has prepared some of Nadia's favorite dishes." While dining with her relatives, Nadia had no idea that her family had a devious plan. "Your Highness, this is the last box. We've been to all the neighborhood stores, and there's definitely nothing left in them anymore. I'm sure with gifts like these, your consort's family will give you a second chance," exclaimed Jade. "What good are these gifts if they didn't even want to socialize with you?" grumbled Anna. "And you didn't behave the way I taught you either. Why did you just stand there and keep quiet? You could have smiled. Nothing would have happened to you. You have a naturally pretty face, so use it. By the way, when is the mistress coming back? We were chased away before we could ask her that. I doubt she knows where to find us," noted Jade. "I'll personally pick her up tomorrow. Tonight we will continue to look for gifts for her family," said the Duke. "And I will consider following up on the Lancaster family home. Their estate seems unprotected to me. I'm worried about my wife. Then we'll split into groups and keep an eye on the house. Every 3 hours I will report back to you," said Duke to Jade. "The wind is picking up, however Nadia is freezing. I don't know if she's sleeping wrapped up in a blanket right now or if she's having nightmares. I must be near her," mumbled the Duke. Jade could see that the Duke was very worried about his spouse. He wished he could reassure him, but it was unlikely the Duke would listen to him. He was extremely stubborn in personal matters. "Sir, you can go now. You can see that there is no danger here. There is no one more suspicious than us here right now. And what will you tell the guards if they suddenly approach us? Asked Jade. Jade, quickly announce to everyone that there is movement in the Lancaster house, suddenly exclaimed the Duke. Look at that. The carriages are leaving the mansion under the cover of night. Luke was very afraid that the remnants of the Ames would kidnap Nadia and do to her what they had done to his parents. The Duke saw men in long cloaks carrying the sleeping Nadia into the carriage. Halt! How dare you pull your paws on Nadia? Let her go at once, or I will chase you through all the circles of hell. I will tear you to shreds, shouted the Duke. The criminals jumped on their horses and galloped away. Jade, bring my horse here quickly, ordered the Duke. I don't think you should rush into anything. You need to address the Crown Prince. Whoever drove the carriage that pulled up to the mansion was Crown Prince Leonard's man. Breathing heavily, Jade said. A furious Duke Staten burst into the Crown Prince's office. I recently learned that the Crown Prince was somehow connected to the kidnapping of my consort. Answer me. Was this your plan? Why did you send men to the Lancasters under the cover of night? Luke asked the Crown Prince. Luke, is that you? I didn't recognize you without the beard. It suits you so well, it makes you look younger. Smiling, Leonard said. That's enough. You won't be able to talk me down. Quickly give me some strong horses. I will send for my consort. In an angry voice, the Duke said, Damn, there seems to have been a big misunderstanding, mumbled the prince as the door closed behind the Duke. I don't think you can hear the clatter of horseshoes anymore. We have finally broken away from our pursuers. What a day for bandits to be out on a day like this. Fortunately, my family is unharmed. Anderson thought to himself as he looked around. Those country people seem to have fallen behind us. I had to drive the carriage very sloppily because of them. I really hope Nadia is not bruised, said the Baron to his son. Looking into the carriage, Anderson saw Nadia sleeping in Vivian's arms. She was fine. Why is Nadia still not waking up? Maybe we gave her too many sleeping pills? Anderson asked. Vivian assured him that everything should be fine, since they had given her a baby sleeping pill. Suddenly, the carriage moved abruptly. The Baron shouted loudly that their pursuers were catching up with them. Sometime later, the carriage stopped. Someone's mighty hand smashed through the wooden door. Well, I caught up with you after all. If you want to live, give me Nadia, roared Luke. What kind of beast is that? It probably knows Nadia is a duchess, so it's trying to steal her. Frightened, Vivian exclaimed. Luke walked over to the Baron and lifted him by the scruff of his neck. First tell me who is behind this kidnapping and where your headquarters are located. If you tell me the truth, I'll let you go alive. Answer me, how much did you plan to make by such a method? Asked the Duke. I'll show you now who you dared to mess with. The Duke shook his fist in front of the Baron's face. Luke, I beg you, don't! Nadia wailed frantically. Your Highness, let this man go. There has most likely been a misunderstanding. Jade took the Duke's hand so that he wouldn't hurt the Baron in any way. Before I left, I heard the Crown Prince's words. It turns out the Lancasters have requested his help. It's not the kidnappers, but her relatives. The Duke looked at Anderson. He was cradling his exhausted sister. What a fool I am. I saw this man at my own wedding. Why didn't I recognize him? I guess anger has blinded my eyes. The Duke thought to himself. Nadia was approached by her sister Elia and hugged her tightly. She explained to the girl that they were doing all this for her. But why are we running away from my spouse? Nadia wondered. Forgive us. For some reason we thought you were unwell around him, admitted Elia. Please forgive me for my intemperate temper. I mistakenly thought you were trying to kidnap my wife. If it makes you feel better, you may beat me with all your might, exclaimed the Duke. Nadia and her relatives looked at Luke in surprise. They had not expected such behavior from the beast. The stupidity of the situation began to dawn on the Lancasters. They were ashamed not only in front of the Duke, but also in front of Nadia. The Lancasters decided to give the Duke a chance to justify himself.